Hello you plonkers and welcome back to another video on the Drewzy channel, and it's a very different type of videos today, boys and girls. I've been making AFL content all year long. However, the Premier League season is about to start and I've got nothing to do all summer on the AFL. So I've decided I'm going to make Premier League content all season long. I'm an avid Manchester United fan and I haven't really made too much content on United or the Prem. I've done bits and bobs here and there, but I get up for every single game, whether it's Wednesday morning at 3 AM or a Sunday night at 8 o'clock. I watch every single Man United game and I follow the Premier League avidly. I have done for about 7 or 8 years now. Enough about that. Today we will be going through my 20-1 Premier League table positions and Golden Boot winner. So if you're keen for the Premier League content going forward this season, make sure you drop a comment your predictions down below, comment who you follow, and hopefully we can grow this channel into an AFL and EPL inclusive channel. Anyway, let's get into the video. It's hard to stay up when you come up from the championship, and this season I'm going to drop all 3 teams down straight away. I'm predicting Brentford to finish in 20th. It's their first Premier League season. They come 3rd in the championship last year. I don't know any of their players, I'm not going to lie. Don't watch any championship, so I'm going to drop Brentford down. I'm going to go Norwich in 19th. They were the championship winners last year, and Norwich, when they came up, they were an exciting side. They took the game on a lot. There was that game against Man City, which I remember Timu Pukki and Todd Cantwell just doing a madness, and Timu Pukki become a Premier League cult hero in that season, but they dropped straight down. They've lost their most dangerous attacking threat to Aston Villa in Emi Buendia. I think he had 30 goal contributions for the Norwich City boys last season. They've brought in some signings. Billy Gilmore, he's meant to be a hot prospect. They got him from Chelsea, Scottish international, and also Milot Rashica. I think he come from Werder Bremen in the Bundesliga. So they've made some signings, but I just don't see Norwich staying up. I think the Prem is too good for Norwich's standards. At 18th, I've got Watford. Now, they've been bouncing up and down from the Prem to the Championship ever since I've been watching the Premier League, and I think they'll go down again. They haven't really added too much notable talent to their side since getting relegated from the Premier League. Obviously, their best attacking option is Emiliano Sarr. I think that's his name. He's a very exciting winger, and he was linked to big clubs in his time in the Premier League. He stuck thick with Watford. The only other real notable signing that they had was Joshua King, the former Bournemouth player, and he's reliable for probably about 10 to 15 goals per season, so it's alright, but I just don't think they're going to hack it in the Prem this year, Watford. Coming in at 17th and just surviving the drop, I've gone with Southampton. They've never been relegated in my time of watching the Premier League, but they have come very close, and I think losing their top goal scorer, Danny Ings, is going to take the wind out of their sails, and they're going to slow down a lot this season. How are you going to lose Danny Ings and not really replace him? I think they've got some striker from Chelsea, some young fella. Michael Obafemi is a bit of a beast, but not a reliable goal scorer. And Shay Adams, good in the Championship, hasn't really cut it in the Prem, so those guys are going to need to step up in the absence of Danny Ings. They've lost Ryan Bertrand as well, a reliable left back who's been there for years. They're going into this season with a lot of pressure. They had a pretty average ending to last season. Their form wasn't great. Their most notable signing is a Chelsea youngster, one of the hottest prospects that Chelsea had, who they let go, and his name is Tino Livramento, and apparently he was their #1 transfer target this season. They picked him up. He's a centre back. I think he's about 18 years old, so he's going to be one to watch in the Premier this season. I think Southampton will just survive the drop. Coming in at 16th, I've gone with Crystal Palace. New manager Patrick Vieira, come from Lille in the French league, which isn't a very competitive league, and Lille probably didn't have the best side, but regardless, he got sacked after a pretty ordinary reign there. They've lost Wayne Hennessy in goal, Andros Townsend, who has been solid for them over the years, Mamadou Sakho, he's pretty old, so that doesn't matter, and Patrick Van Aanholt, who's been there for a number of years, signing from Sunderland about 5 or 6 years ago, but those are experienced, solid players who they're losing there. One of their more young, exciting, talented players is Eze. Him, Zaha up top. It's exciting. Ayu's quite reliable for goals as well, and Christian Benteke is still flying his straight in the Prem. One of my favourite players on FIFA back in the day. Reliable for about 10 goals a season. I think Crystal Palace are going to have a bit of a stinker this year. Would be surprised if Vieira did well. Let's see. Time will tell. He's obviously had his time in the Prem. He knows what it takes to be a good Premier League side, obviously being invincible and captaining that side. So his experience will bring a lot to this Crystal Palace side, and I think they'll finish in 16th this season. 15th, I'm not going to spend too much time on them because it's Burnley, and Burnley are about as exciting as bread. It's just not that exciting, is it? Burnley, they just know how to stay in the Prem. Sean Dyche just has the formula and he just follows it to stay in the league. They set up in a low block defense, and teams find it hard to crack them at times, but they're going to find it hard to get points early in the season with their striker Chris Wood coming back from the Olympics late, so he'll probably spend the first month of the season on the sidelines. No notable signings. Burnley never really make notable signings. They just do what they do. Boring football, solid defending, and they always just stay up, don't they? So I'll have Burnley finishing in 15th. In 14th, and rather controversially, I've gone with West Ham. Now, I think they finished about 8th or 7th last season because they're in the Europa League, and it's for that reason that I've put them in 14th. When teams go into the Europa League, especially sides like West Ham, who are like lower qualifiers, they have to start playing in the Europa League earlier, and it can overstretch their squad. West Ham, I think they only have about 17 squad players, so they're already stretched quite thin. They're going to need a lot of players to step up from their academy, but you can't really rely on that. Jesse Lingard last season was their best player. He turned the tide when he joined West Ham from my boys Manchester United. Absolute Don. I was so happy to see him get back into form and playing the way that we know he can. Ben Rama's had a good preseason. He's been banging in screamers left, right and centre. But if him or Antonio get injured, they're really not going to have much attacking threat. They're going to need players like Pablo Fornals to step up. Hopefully Manuel Lanzini can stay injury free and find some form as well. But they didn't make any good signings, and I don't think they're going to do too well this season, the Hammers. They'll probably drop down, but that takes staying up, I suppose. Bit of a letdown after last season though. I'm going to say the Hammers finish in 14th. In 13th, I've got Brighton. Now, Brighton can cause an upset or 7. They're quite good for an upset, Brighton, and they were hard to crack when we played them away. We only narrowly beat them after the final whistle with a Bruno Fernandes penalty last season, but Graham Potter is about as solid a manager you'll get to keep a side up in the Premier League, I think. They've brought in Jeremy Sarmiento from Benfica, Gary Dicker from Kilmarnock, Enoch Mwepu from Salzburg, and a couple of others. So they've bolstered their list slightly. No real notable signings, but they've got good players. Mope's dangerous, Trossard's good, Lallana is serviceable, Danny Welbeck, another cult hero, and Pascal Gross, he's also a reliable player for the Seagulls. They've lost Ben White. He was one of their best players last season. He's signed for 50 million for Arsenal, which is a massive signing. You'd think with that 50 million, they could have made bigger signings, Brighton, but they haven't. But I think they're a solid side. I think they'll finish in 13th. In 12th, I've got Steve Bruce's Newcastle United. They've just signed Joe Willock from Arsenal, and he was one of their best players last season for Newcastle when he was out there on loan. It was a night and day comparison compared from when he was playing to when he was not playing. He just creates chances and scores goals from midfield so well, and obviously when you've got the threats up top like they do, like Callum Wilson, like Alan St. Maximan, they're really good, reliable goal scorers, fun to watch as well. And hopefully Joelinton can find form, because he was one of the top-rated young strikers in Europe when he signed for Newcastle, but obviously Steve Bruce doesn't play the most exciting Brazilian football, so it's been hard for him to really find form in the Premier League. Newcastle have a decent midfield and average defence and some good keepers as well. I think they'll do okay this season. I'll tip them to finish in 12th. In 11th, I have Portugal, aka Wolves. They lost their Portuguese manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, to Spurs, and they've signed a new Portugueser from Benfica, and his name is Bruno Lage, or Lage, I don't know. I don't speak Portuguese. He won the league with Benfica in 2019, so he's a winner. He has the winning formula, and it's a very attacking formula, I've heard. Talking off some of their Portugueses who I like, Fabio Silva up top is a very young, exciting player. Ruben Neves, I would love at United as a holding defensive midfielder. Can hit a screamer as well. Jaume Moutinho, a reliable goal creator in attacking midfield. And Nelson Semedo, the ex-Barcelona right back, also in that side. So a couple Portugueses there who can make a massive impact. Aside from their Portugueses, Adama Traore, the absolute tank. I love watching him play. Very pacey, very dangerous. And having Raul Jimenez back is a massive in. Obviously, he had that traumatic brain injury or skull fracture or something against David Luiz's big head when they played Arsenal last year. So he only played 10 games last season. But before that, he had 3 seasons at Wolves and he played 38 games in every season, which is the max if you didn't know. He scored 51 goals in that time. Reliable goal scorer. It'll be like a new signing for them. Wolves, I think, will finish in 11th. In 10th, I've got Leeds United, and they're spoken about as one of the most exciting teams in the Premier League, and I don't know if that's for the right reasons, because sometimes they just get absolutely belted. They try to play it out from the back, which I rate. I do rate that. Bit of Bielsa ball, brave attacking football from all areas of the pitch, and yeah, it is a very unique style. I can see that. But when they come up against United, we belted them 6-2. We're up 3-0 in 20 minutes, and we just battered them. But in the return fixture, it was 0-0, so they can be solid as well when they are regimented. But I just don't think their defenders have the class to not concede so many goals. I liked watching Calvin Phillips in the Euros this year. He looks like one of their more solid players. Rafinha, very good as well. And Patrick Bamford was really reliable for them with goals last season. Could they make waves this season? I don't know. I think their defense needs a bit of shoring up. I'm going to put them in 10th. Coming in at 9th, and one of the stories of the off-season in the Premier League has been Aston Villa. And obviously they've lost their prodigy, a player who played for them for 20 years since the age of 6, Jack Grealish. He's gone to Man City. What a player he is. I love watching him play. Such a shame that he's gone to City, but what a good signing it is for them. So he's been sold for 100 million, and Villa have invested very smartly. They've brought in Emi Buendia from Norwich, who I spoke about earlier, who had 30 goal contributions in the Championship last year, so he's going to be massive for them on the wing. Leon Bailey for Bayer Leverkusen had 15 goals and 11 assists in the Bundesliga last season, which isn't too shabby at all, because the Bundesliga is a very solid league. He's a young Jamaican, skillful, pacey boy. They've signed Danny Ings, which is just guaranteed goals up front to complement Ollie Watkins, who I'm a big fan of as well. A big, solid, strong striker. I can remember him scoring a bag of goals against Liverpool last season, much to my delight as a United fan. And they've also got Axel Tuanzebe from Manchester United. He hasn't really been getting the opportunities at United, and he's been to Aston Villa before. So it's going to be good for Axel to get some good Premier League experience under his belt, and hopefully in a season or two he can come back to United and will be a very solid, serviceable third choice centre back. But Villa, you've done very well with the money you were given for Jack Grealish, and I've liked having Villa back in the Prem. They're a massive club. They shouldn't be in the Championship. They've come up and they've stayed up. Hopefully they can continue the good form that they've had from last season into this season without Jack Grealish, who was one of the best creators in the Prem last year. Hopefully that creativity doesn't go with all the new signings they've made. They've also signed Ashley Young. How weird. He started his career there, and he didn't do much at Inter, didn't do much at United either in the end, but he'll be a mature player that can grow this young side. In at 8th, I've gone with Everton, and I've watched a few Premier League predictions videos, and I think people are sleeping on Everton a bit. Carlo Ancelotti has left for Real Madrid, so who do they bring in? Rafa Benitez, the former Liverpool manager. How can you do that? How can you manage Liverpool and Everton? It baffles me. I don't understand it. But he's a Champions League winning manager. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was major for them last season, and I think he'll continue that this season. He's one of the more exciting strikers in the Prem. I'd love to have him at United. And let's not forget, they have James Rodriguez. He was one of the best players in Europe a few years ago. It still baffles me that he's at Everton, so it's going to be interesting to see how he works under Rafa Benitez. They've signed Damari Gray, so he's a young, exciting player as well to go alongside the guys like Iwobi, Richarlison, Moise Kean. Will he come back and make an impact? Hopefully for his sake. I think they're a good side, Everton. I think they'll finish in 8th this season. In 7th, I've gone with Tottenham Hotspur. Now, this off-season for them has been an absolute disaster. It's been a tragedy, mate. Harry Kane has expressed his desire to leave, and I think Daniel Levy is just like, nah, I'm not letting you leave. You are our most valued asset. You're going nowhere. And he's getting a bit pissed off, old Harry. They obviously sacked Mourinho last year, and I just don't think Mourinho's going to work out in the Prem anymore. I think his tactics are a bit outdated these days. So Mourinho signed for Roma. Roma sacked their manager, and Spurs tried to sign the old Roma manager, which makes absolutely no sense. That didn't end up going through. And then they also tried to sign Conte. Conte come to Spurs, had a look around, and he was like, nah, I don't fancy this at all. So they ended up with Nuno Espirito Santo from Wolves. He's a decent manager. Will he take them into the top 4? I don't think so, especially with Harry Kane wanting to leave. They've made a few exciting signings in the last few seasons, like Giovanni Lo Celso, Tanguy Ndombele, and also Højbjerg from Southampton, and they're all going to need to step up because they haven't really added too much to their side. Tottenham. They weren't too defensively solid last season either. Have we seen the best of Tottenham Hotspur? Is it gone? Is it in the past? I think so. What do you think about Spurs? Comment down below. I think they'll finish in 7th. In 6th, I have the Community Shield winners, Leicester City. Since Rodgers has joined after the Ranieri era, he's done very well with the Premier League winnings and whatnot. He's invested in the squad. They have one of the best midfields in the Premier League with Wilfred Ndidi, James Maddison and Yuri Tielemans, another player who I'd love at Manchester United. They've got proven goal scorers up top in Jamie Vardy and Kelechi Iheanacho as well, who scored the winning penalty in the Community Shield final. Another exciting player they have is Harvey Barnes, a player that plays with a lot of passion, integrity and intensity. So I'll be keeping an eye out for him again this season. I'll have Leicester finishing in 6th. In at 5th, I've gone with Arsenal. Haven't made too major of signings. Ben White was their best signing, the centre-back, so he'll slot in nicely with Gabriel, and then they'll have Tierney. I just think they need a right-back before that defence starts to get a little bit more solid. Pepe found his feet last season, started scoring goals, finally finding his feet in the Premier League. Arsenal have been pretty average for the last few seasons, but they're a very young side. I like their young talent, guys like Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, obviously Saka, who was decent in the Euros except for that final, Maitland-Niles obviously, and of course Mohamed El Nene. But I think Arteta has got a squad that he likes. He can start to build on the young talent that he has, which could take Arsenal into a brighter future. I'll hope so for my Uncle Peter's sake. Arsenal, you'll finish in 5th this season. So who do I have in the top 4? I believe the top 4 has broken away from the rest of the league. They are clearly better, I believe. And in 4th, making up the first Champions League spot, I've gone with Liverpool. They've brought in Kanate, a solid centre-back, to help with their average, shoddy, injury-prone defense. It's not average. It's good when they're available, but they're often not. Matip is often injured. Gomez is injured, and obviously Van Dijk did his ACL last year, so he's going to be very serviceable still. But his capacity, which was right up here a few seasons ago, it's going to drop. You just don't return from ACL injuries the same as you were before. The reason I don't think they'll finish higher than this is because they've also lost Genie Wijnaldum, their most solid midfielder that they had. He's gone to PSG. And Firmino and Mane last season weren't very solid, so they're going to need some big signings before the season begins, or before the transfer window closes, in my opinion, if they're going to threaten to challenge for the title this season. What they do have going for them is the best fullback pairing in Europe, I believe, Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I feel like those two really open up the game for Liverpool. I feel like they're their best assets to attacking football, because they can just ping a ball diagonally across the field, the whole length of the pitch just about, and when they are in the final third, they can whip a ball into the box onto the head of Firmino or set up Salah or whatever. So I do like their fullbacks. I think they're very good. Anyway, enough talking about Liverpool. You're finishing in 4th. In at 3rd, I have the Champions League winners, Chelsea. And they have one of the most stacked squads in the Premier League at the moment. I saw a thing on Instagram the other day of their whole squad, and you can make 2 teams out of it, both of which could probably contend for the top 4 in the Premier League. It's absolutely nuts. They've just re-signed Romelu Lukaku for about £115 million or something. Absolutely stupid. They literally had him in their ranks. Chelsea, they do that. They sold David Luiz, then bought him back. They did it with Nemanja Matic and sold him and then bought him back. They're absolute weirdos, but I suppose when you're a Russian billionaire, you might as well just splash out whenever you like. They had their struggles in the Premier League last season. I don't think they beat West Brom, who were one of the worst sides in the league last year. So last year they were beatable, but now that Tuchel has had a full pre-season and half a season, and they've bought into his project after winning that Champions League, that'll instill a lot of belief into the playing group, and trophies make sides. I think they're going to be a much better side this season, Chelsea. I'll have them finish in 3rd. In 2nd, I've gone with my boys, Manchester United. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll win the league this season. Man City are just too solid. But let's talk about Man United. We've been developing slowly but surely under Solskjaer, and we've made 2 massive signings in Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. Jadon Sancho really opens up that right side of the final third for us, because usually we just go down the left. We'll go Bruno, Pogba and Rashford on that left side, and we're quite one-dimensional in that sense. So having Jadon Sancho playing in front of Aaron Wan-Bissaka literally just opens up that whole final third for us, which is absolutely magnificent. Rafael Varane, one of the most accomplished centre-backs in world football. He's won 3 Champions Leagues, multiple La Ligas, he's won the World Cup as well, and just a bunch of other trophies. He's won everything alongside Sergio Ramos. He's played at Real Madrid since he was about 18 years old. He's been in their first team, so he's as experienced as they come. He'll take some of the load off Harry Maguire's shoulders. And look at that defense now. Luke Shaw had a massive Euros. He's one of the best left backs in the world. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you can't get past him. He's as defensively solid as they come. Not great going forward, but we've got Sancho ahead of him now, so it doesn't even matter. And obviously Harry Maguire, he also had a very good Euros, and he's the captain of our club, and he's built into that. I think Harry Maguire has earned everyone's respect after a pretty shaky start at United. Obviously, we've got David De Gea. For the first time in his career, he's actually got a solid defense in front of him. And yeah, I still do rate De Gea. I think he had a pretty average season last year, but I think he can get back to his best. If not, Dean Henderson is serviceable as well. Bruno Fernandes is the best player I've ever seen play at United. He's such an exciting player, and him linking up with Sancho this season is going to be lip-licking good. Obviously, we're going to have Rashford and Cavani up there as well, so it's a very exciting time coming for United. The only question mark I have on this side is our midfield. Paul Pogba's never really found a position where he can play every week, and we know that he can go forward and he can be covered defensively, because Scott McTominay and Fred are just, I don't know, they can't hack it. But maybe Varane signing gives us a bit more security, which allows McTominay and Pogba to play in the same side. Rashford's going to be out for the first 2 months of the season, and Cavani will be out for about a month as well, coming back from the Copa America quite late. The pressure will be falling on the shoulders of guys like Anthony Martial and Greenwood to step up in the early stages of the season. So of course that leaves the champions to be the champions again, I believe. I think Man City, they're just too good, such a stacked side, and that's what oil money gets you. A lot of good players, including Jack Grealish, who's going to play alongside Kevin De Bruyne, 2 of the most creative players in the Premier League, playing in the same side under Pep Guardiola. There's going to be some good goals scored, and they're just going to break down every team, I believe. They have about 5 eyes each, those boys. They can pick a pass out of nowhere, and obviously they've got solid wingers as well in Riyad Mahrez, who can create, Raheem Sterling, who can get behind defenses. The only question for them is their striker. They've got Ferran Torres and Gabriel Jesus still there after Aguero has left to Barcelona. I just don't think they're too serviceable. But when you've got such good creators, it might not matter who their striker is. They could even play Grealish in a false 9 or something. So that's their only question mark. But other than that, City look bloody good. And if they sign Harry Kane, I mean, that'll be one of the best Premier League sides ever, in terms of list, not in terms of anything else. But yeah, if Kane signs for City, I'm predicting him to win the Golden Boot. If not, I'm going to predict Dominic Calvert-Lewin to win the Golden Boot. And that's going to wrap up this video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Stay locked on the Drewzy channel for Premier League content all season long. I'll probably just mainly be talking about United and results that affect United, because that's what I actually know inside and out. If you made it this far in the video, comment orange if you're going to enjoy the Premier League content this season. Make sure you're subscribed to the Drewzy channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, you plonkers.